Suppose you made $1 million empire and everything is gone due to gambling. That's not a metaphor, not a warning, but the real life of a baseball player who lost control over his mind. Pete Rose didn't arrive with a sculpted swing or movie star grace. He arrived with obsession, the kind that turns ordinary talent into a weapon. Growing up in Cincinnati, he learned early that effort could embarrass brilliance, and he built his identity on one promise: never coast. He ran when others jogged, slid when others stood up, and treated a Tuesday night in April like Game 7. But that hunger was still looking for a bigger stage. Rose struggled in school, repeated a grade, and felt doors close before he fully understood why. Baseball never closed. Baseball welcomed him, rewarded him, gave him a language when the classroom didn't. When his uncle helped him get a tryout with the Reds, it felt less like opportunity and more like escape. A $7,000 contract didn't make him rich. It made him dangerous because now his self-worth had a scoreboard. Imagine an insult becomes the name that defines your entire existence. When Whitey Ford sarcastically called him Charlie Hustle, Rose didn't laugh. It branded him. What was meant as mockery became his religion. He sprinted on walks, ran out routine grounders, and played with the kind of edge that made veterans uncomfortable. By 1963, he was Rookie of the Year, and by the late 1960s, he wasn't just playing baseball, he was exhausting it. Every season brought more hits, more bruises, more proof that he could outlast anyone. Rose didn't chase the majestic home run. He chased contact, angles, mistakes, momentum, anything that moved him one base closer to control. All-star appearances stacked up. He played nearly every position without complaint, because versatility wasn't a skill to him, it was leverage. He even served time in the Army Reserves, then returned and kept playing like time itself was an opponent. In Cincinnati, the Big Red Machine wasn't just a team, it was a force, and Rose was its grinding engine. In 1973, Rose won an MVP, and the honor didn't soften him, it sharpened him. Awards, headlines, and the Roberto Clemente Award added a halo to the hard edge, and suddenly Hustle wasn't just a nickname, it was a brand. The more the sport celebrated him, the more Rose believed the sport needed him. In the 1970 All-Star Game, Rose barreled into catcher Ray Fosse to score the winning run. An exhibition moment turned into a collision people still argue about. To Rose, there was no such thing as a friendly game, because friendliness felt like weakness. Fans loved the fearlessness. Critics saw recklessness. Rose saw only one thing: the run counted, and he took it. But when winning becomes your personality, losing becomes your enemy. In 1978, Rose lit a 44-game hitting streak that turned every at-bat into national theater. Reporters traveled with him, stadiums held their breath, pitchers tried to be the one who ended the myth. When the streak stopped, it didn't break him. It sharpened him, like denial hardening into steel. Because Rose wasn't chasing streaks anymore, he was chasing permanence. Philadelphia paid him like royalty, and Rose delivered what royalty demands. A World Series title in 1980. Endorsements, interviews, autographs, attention that followed him into every hallway. Fame didn't just surround him, it convinced him he belonged above ordinary rules. By 1985, when he passed Ty Cobb to become the all-time hits leader, the celebration felt like a coronation. Rose didn't just break the mark, he absorbed the moment like oxygen. Standing ovations, endless praise, the sense that history had chosen him. He returned to Cincinnati and became baseball's last true player-manager, holding influence on the field and in the clubhouse. The kind of power that makes a person think they can steer outcomes. And once you believe you can steer outcomes, you start believing you can steer odds. As a manager, Rose still wanted dominance, lineups, matchups, decisions, the feeling that the night ended because he decided it should. Gambling entered quietly, disguised as confidence and thrill. At first, it was a rush, then a routine, then a requirement. Bets escalated. Secrecy became habit. Baseball had always been his battleground, but now the stakes lived in phone calls, notebooks, and shadows. And by 1989, the whispers were about to become evidence. Allegations surfaced that Rose bet on baseball, including games tied to his own team. Baseball's central truth snapped into focus. Gambling destroys trust, and trust is the sport. Rose denied it publicly and fought it legally, pushing back with the same stubborn force he used on the field. But the rules didn't care about his intentions. They cared about integrity. In August 1989, he accepted permanent ineligibility, baseball's harshest sentence. Years passed, and Rose's refusal to fully own the damage became part of the tragedy. He insisted he never bet against his team, as if loyalty could soften the rule. But baseball didn't bend, and the Hall of Fame stayed locked behind the same moral door. In 2004, he admitted he had bet on baseball and on the Reds while managing. The confession was real, but it arrived late, after the trust had already died, and the world was about to see how far the fall could go. Rose pleaded guilty to tax evasion connected to gambling and memorabilia income, served time, paid money back, and came out into a life where greatness was rented by the hour at autograph tables. The man who once owned stadiums now worked casinos, sometimes signing baseballs with an apology written beside his name. He stayed visible, stayed defiant, stayed controversial, because controversy became his last form of relevance. Rose leaned into pop culture, most famously in WWE, where Kane tombstoned on him at WrestleMania, and crowds laughed, booed, and cheered at the same time. It was bizarre, but it made sense. If baseball wouldn't give him a stage, he'd take any stage that still had lights. He appeared on TV panels, at limited MLB-related events, and in public ceremonies where applause returned for a moment, then vanished again. The Reds retired his number and honored him as a franchise pillar, but league offices kept him at arm's length. Reinstatement attempts came and went. Each rejection turned his story into an argument people fought about at bars, on radio, and Hall of Fame debates. Do you honor the record or punish the choice? For decades, the answer stayed frozen. And then in September 2024, the story took its sharpest turn. Pete Rose died on September 30th, 2024, and suddenly the question wasn't about what he could do next, it was about what baseball should do with what he already did. In 2025, MLB changed its policy so permanent ineligibility ends at death, making Rose eligible again, posthumously, for Hall of Fame consideration through the veterans process. Supporters called it overdue justice. Critics called it a dangerous precedent. And one last time, Pete Rose forced baseball to look in the mirror. Was Rose the greatest proof that effort can beat talent, or the clearest warning that obsession can beat wisdom? He built an empire one hard slide at a time, then watched it collapse one hidden bet at a time. His records still tower over the sport, and his choices still cast a shadow over them. And as baseball prepares to judge him again, the question remains, what matters more, the hits or the trust?